Good morning, everybody. I see we already have Dr. Dondee Nettles in the house. We've got a few more minutes because I know there's a couple more just jumping on. So um, I'm just so thrilled that we have you in the house this morning, Dr. Dondee Nettles, all the way from Surprise in Arizona. How is the weather there today?
Hello, Margie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Well, it started at 38 degrees Fahrenheit, so that was a lot colder than we've had in many months, and I think it's the high is going to be 71 today, so it's perfect weather today.
Oh, well done, well done. Well, I think poor old Rhonda, I know she's up on the north of Queensland, and it's very hot there today. They are in the middle of a heat wave, which fortunately in Sydney we're not experiencing that. Okay, so Dr. Dondee, I'm going to honor your time and everyone else who's been on the call. And from me, it's a huge welcome. I'm absolutely thrilled to be jumping into Charlotte's shoes this morning as she's actually flying as we speak. Um, and we are going to be taking a look at the breakthrough science that redefines fact. Now, I'm in that category of the person who's been struggling with weight loss for many, many years. So if those of you on the call are battling weight loss and you've felt unsupported and you've had cravings and all those things, you are not alone, and we do have a solution. So it is my great pleasure to introduce and welcome Dr. Dondee Nettles. Just a little quick background. Dr. Dondee Nettles has run his chiropractic wellness family practice for 17 years plus, but decided that this is crazy. He's on this rat race and he wasn't spending enough time with his family. And imagine spending 80 to 90 hours a week away from the family. So he has now devoted his life, and he is a wellness expert. He runs a fantastic podcast. I'll tell you more about that later. And he is a keynote speaker. But also, he is the husband to beautiful Mercia, which I was so lucky to have met her when we were in Croatia 2 years ago. And I love the way he describes himself as a patient dad of a teenager. Now, I can relate to that. I've had my teenage grandson with me on a cruise that we did recently. And yes, we do need a lot of patience. So from me, welcome everybody, all the consultants from New Zealand and Australia, and also all the guests on the call this morning for us and the afternoon for the US. Thank you, Dr. Dondee Nettles.
Oh, it's my absolute honor and pleasure. This is a favor to a friend, to be completely transparent. When Charlotte was out in Kansas City, when we released the new MB system, the mind body system, she asked me if I could do this for her. And I said, absolutely. That's one of the things that I love about the community and the culture of LifeVantage, is that people will always help other people, because that's how we all get ahead. And there's just certain ways that our voices will go through other people that they won't go through our own nucleus of friends or families or our sphere of influence. And it's just kind of one of those, you can't be a leader in your own town because people are too familiar. It takes sometimes a strange voice from a far off place to come in and really understand the significance of what we all have, the timing of this, and what we can all do with this to bless people around the world. So it's my absolute honor, Margie. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. I did say I was going to mention something about your podcast. If those of you on the call have not listened to any of Dr. Dondee Nettles' podcasts, I suggest you do. And just the one, he always has a quote about somebody really special saying something very poignant. And Lucille Ball said, "Love yourself first and everything else falls into line." That was on one of his recent podcasts. And I think that is really relevant for all of us here now. If we don't love ourselves enough to make the commitment to get onto GLP-1, if we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, I have 20 kilos to lose. So that's a commitment, because I love myself enough. And I hope there are guests on the call who feel exactly the same. So our first question today, I'd love to ask you why there's such a hype around the mind-body GLP-1 system, and the fact that it's had such amazing momentum that sold out in 9 days on the launch on the 12th of October.
Well, it just happens to be that we're I would just say all all points of contact are converging all at once. It's kind of the perfect storm, as we say here in the United States. It's when you have the needs of the people are meeting the demands of what is available. So when you, and everything that we have available to us as far as a product or a service, as far as business is concerned, it's all based on a supply and demand curve. And if there's a demand for whatever it is and you can supply it, you're going to predictably be successful. Well, I'll just give you kind of just the state of affairs here in the United States alone. And we're not an anomaly. This is very consistent. The numbers that I'm going to give you are very consistent throughout the world. But here in the United States, 74% of the adult population is overweight and 36% are obese. And so we have a massive population of people, and those numbers are not getting better every year. Those numbers are getting worse every year. And here's the paradox with that, is that we live in a place here in the United States where medical discoveries, technological advancements, pharmaceutical advancements, surgical procedure advancements, I mean, all of the things that you could look at from a healthcare perspective, as far as a system is concerned, they get better and better and better every year, with one exception: the outcome of the patients that are subscribing to that methodology. They're getting worse. So if all of our intervention strategies are getting better, but our patients are getting worse, and the people who come to us are getting worse, then something is wrong. And what is wrong is the application of the system. The system here in the United States, and it's kind of modeled throughout the world, is there is a wellness care system and there is a sickness care system. And oftentimes they get the two confused. And that's exactly what's happening here. So you cannot go to a doctor to get better health. You can go, and I'm categorizing as a medical doctor. Medical doctors do not give you the solution or the pathway to better health. They give you the pathway to less symptoms, not better health. And the thing is that more and more and more of the medicines that we are developing are intended to be what are called lifestyle drugs, meaning you take them for the rest of your life. Well, that's not an answer to a health challenge. That is a way to manage a patient to have a lifelong customer. This is about economics. And when the system is based on the outcome of economics from the producer side, and the beneficiary side is getting worse, we know we've got a problem. So the long answer to your question, Margie, is we have a massive population of people that are looking for answers, and the answers they're currently getting from the system that's in place are worse and worse and worse. And so they're hopeless and they're struggling. And there's this thing called learned hopelessness, is that when you go to your doctor and you go to your doctor and you go to your doctor and you get this medication and then that medication and then this medication for the side effect of that medication. And when the medications don't work, they take something out of your body. And that's not a solution for long-term longevity, and it's not a solution for health. It's a solution for managing symptoms. So why is this product so powerful, so beneficial, and why are people indulging in it so significantly? Because of that void. There is a massive population of overweight and obese people, and they don't have natural solutions or solutions that honor their body. They have solutions that poison their body or manipulate their body. And I'll make it very simplistic, Margie. When you give the human body what it needs, in other words, when you equip it with what it needs, it will always, always, always respond accordingly. But when you trick it into doing what you think it needs, it will always, always, always object. And that objection is the side effect. And that's what we haven't wrapped our minds around yet. So if you have people that would like to lose weight and like to feel better in their own skin and look better and have better self-confidence, medication is not the answer. So medication may help you lose weight, but it doesn't fix the problem, because you eventually have to go off of the medication because there's side effects. And once you go off of it, you gain the weight back and you go back to the same lifestyle. That's the dog chasing its tail, and it never works. It's not intended to be a long-term solution. And so at LifeVantage, we came out with a long-term solution that honors the body, that goes back and turns back on the system in your body that is responsible and in charge of your relationship with food. Because food is not a way to satisfy craving. Food is a way to give our body fuel to move on and move forward. Kind of think of it this way. Food is the 3D printer that our body uses to recreate us with. I'm going to say that again because it's very powerful to get that. Food is the 3D printer that we use to reproduce ourselves. And if we're putting bad material in, we can only get bad material out. And if we're putting in material that has side effects and warning labels, why do we wonder, why are we having these side effects? Because there's poison in it. It's why it has, that's why it has child-proof caps on the bottles. That's why it's meant by doctor supervision only. It's why it's meant to be a needle to inject into your body. And so the reason why this is such a popular product at the most popular time in human history, because we have more people looking for natural solutions for weight loss that honor their body and give them the results they want. And there just simply isn't another option out there. We are the only GLP-1 activation company on planet Earth at this point. And it's so significant.
So, Dr. Dondee Nettles, that brings me to that question about, at the moment, so many people have opted for or considering that synthetic or injectables like you mentioned. Can you mention the uniqueness of our product in comparison to options that are out there and that people are going for, but what are the negative effects of that?
Yeah, great question. And the negative effects can sometimes, a lot of times, outweigh the positives. And so the reason why so many people are taking them, and how many people are we talking about? In the United States, where we're about 350 million people, 1 out of 8 people are taking this kind of medication or have taken it in the past. 12% of our entire population has taken products or are currently on it or have taken it. That's how significant the demand is. Well, here's the challenge, is that they're called GLP-1 agonists, meaning it's 94% similar to the hormone your body makes naturally, but it's synthetic. It's a fake version of the hormone that your body produces. But here's the challenge. Your body produces the hormone under very, very specific situations. But if you do not have those specific situations and you give yourself a shot, 94% similar synthetic version of it, your body thinks it's real, but it hasn't gone through any of the things that would warrant it, which is already tricking the mechanism. And so what happens? Your cravings go down. You lose weight. You actually do lose weight. And the food noise goes down. But the negative part about it, for every 10 pounds, or let's just say 10 kilos that you lose in body weight, 6.5 of those kilos are muscle weight, and only 3.5 kilos are fat weight. So while we're getting less, or we're weighing less, we're getting lighter, but we're getting fatter because the muscle to weight ratio is increasing because we're losing more muscle than fat on the medication. So that's one of the major side effects. The other major side effects is the muscle mass that you lose oftentimes does not grow back. And they've actually called the certain way somebody looks. You can tell when they're taking the drug because of how their face looks or how their backside looks. And that oftentimes will not grow back. The other side effects, it's very costly. Side effect, you have to give yourself a shot. Side effect is that you have to go to a doctor to get it. Another side effect is that, or another downside to it, it takes a prescription and it's tricking your body the entire time. So when you go off of it, unless you've changed everything about your life, which if you had the ability to do that in the first place, you wouldn't be taking the drug, you go back to you gain the weight back, but you don't gain the muscle mass back. You end up being more fat and getting the weight back. So this entire thing has become such a widely used system, but the side effects are becoming more well-known than the benefits, which means there's a much larger and growing every day population that are looking for something else, which puts us in position 1, because 1, we've got a product, a 2-part product that does honor the body, that does turn on the natural mechanism of GLP-1 under the right circumstances. So if you go off of it, you're going to stay that way so long as you don't go back to your previous lifestyle. So, and it's cheaper. It doesn't require a doctor's supervision. There is no shots. When you lose weight, 100% of the weight is fat weight, no muscle mass lost. And that's in 100% of people. and you feel amazing. It's the normal, natural mechanism. So there's no synthetic, there's no manipulation. It's all honoring your body's natural pathways. Your body's making the hormone again rather than taking it supplementally. And as a result, the benefits are just stellar. They're maybe not as quick as the pharmaceutical brand, but there's zero side effects versus all the side effects and losing weight more rapidly, but you're losing muscle mass weight. And so the trade-off is there. And so people that are currently on it, on those medications, are coming off of them and giving our product a shot. And I haven't met one yet that is not having a very positive outcome as a result.
That was so well explained, because there were certainly a few answers there for me that came through. Um, there's another thing I wanted to ask you. Can you explain the benefit of the fiber and the starch that's in the MB Enhance? We know it has this wonderful synergistic effect for weight loss. Can you explain that to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with this. So it's a two-part product, two-part system. The first product is the capsules. It's called MB Core. And the herbs that are in that open up when they get into your intestines and actually start stimulating the intestines. And so your large intestine and your small intestine. And so what happens in it doing that is it's literally communicating again with your brainstem, your stomach, your pancreas, and your large intestine. Those four parts of what is called the gut-brain axis. It's very important that they communicate to each other and openly and freely communicate to each other with no misinterpretation. And it starts like this. So if I take a bite of food, and I'm gonna start with how this entire mechanism starts and every single important factor of it. So the first thing is the food that you eat. Is it good, nutritious food? Is it processed food? Is it fast food? And so the more single ingredient combinations of fresh foods that you eat, again, back to that 3D printer model, then the more nutritious and wholesome cells you're creating, and therefore the human being that you're creating. But start with your plate of food, whatever it is. Chewing your food properly is incredibly important, because while you're chewing your food, say you take a fork of food and you're chewing it, inside your mouth while you're chewing the food is detecting what's in your food. In other words, what is the breakdown? What percentage of carbohydrate? What percentage of protein? What percentage of fat are you actually chewing? And why is that important? Because your mouth is sending signals to your stomach that this is the food that's about to come your way. It's this much carbohydrate, this much fat, this much protein, so that your stomach is anticipating that food coming down and can make the stomach acid in the proper concentration to digest it properly, so that you don't have indigestion or bloating or things of that nature. So chewing your food, step one, getting into the stomach, stretching your stomach. That sends a signal to your brain that there's food here. Okay, we're starting to get less hungry. And then the stomach sends a signal to the intestines. We've got some food coming down. This is what it's made of. Tell the pancreas we need some insulin. The pancreas produces the insulin. Insulin breaks down the glucose and allows your muscles to absorb the glucose. And we are now a full satiated person. But here's your question on the starch and on the fiber. Why is it there? Why is it important? Because when you mix fiber and starch with your saliva, again, when you chew your food, more saliva is produced. It swells. Kind of think of the difference between a dry sponge that you buy at the grocery store and a sponge full of water in your kitchen sink. It swells. So the fiber and the starch, when mixed with saliva and your gastric juices, actually swells. Why is that important? Because if it's in your stomach and it swells and it goes down into your intestines and continues to swell, your stomach is feeling satiated. Your intestines are feeling satiated, meaning they don't need any more food. There's enough bulk in your intestines and in your stomach that it sends the signal to the brain, stop the hunger signal. So now you're no longer hungry. You stop eating. That meal that you ate, which is sufficient for the body to utilize to burn the fuel, 3D print you, is now sufficient. So now when the hunger stops, the cravings stop. The food noise stops. The motility or the efficiency of the intestines improves. And so the whole thing about why is the fiber there? Why is the starch there? What is the synergy? that it creates as a result. It creates fullness in your intestines. Fullness in your intestines shuts down the hunger signal, shuts down the cravings, shuts down the food noise. And that's the normal signal. When everything is functioning normally, you don't have the craving to go back. You don't have a stomach full of food and you're trying to get one more bite and one more bite and one more bite. And then you feel like crud. And then the next day you look in the mirror and you feel even worse. You feel physically bad, visually bad. And it was because that whole mechanism wasn't working, because we weren't utilizing it properly. And the whole mechanism of this part of it, the MB Enhance, is the fiber and the starch to make your intestines feel full, stops the hunger craving, stops the hunger signal, stops the eating process, and then stops the food noise and stops the cravings. And now you're a happy, full, emotionally fantastic human being, and you're going to start getting into the figure that you were created for. Not over fat and not, sorry, my cat's going crazy in the room, knocking over my baseball bat. And so you have a normal functioning system. That's why the fiber and the starch are in there, to provide bulk in your intestines to stop the food signal of you being hungry.
Well, that explains so many things, so many details, which almost answers one of the other questions I was going to ask you. But you can clarify. How does GLP-1 help us take back control of our weight loss journey and goals?
Ooh, great question. So I would just tell you this. We have a saying here in America that you can be on the seafood diet, meaning if you see food, you eat it. So we are visually stimulated to eat food, as opposed to when we're hungry, the brain sends a signal, makes us feel hunger, and then we go eat to satisfy that hunger craving, which literally all it is the blood detecting that there's low glucose. We have low blood sugar, which stimulates the hunger signal. We go eat food, the blood sugar rises, we're happy. So what this whole thing does is it tricks the system. So when you don't do the mind-body system, and how it makes it also efficient is it takes back control, because your hunger signals are now based on your body's need for fuel and need for nutrition, not being visually stimulated by something you saw on TV. And that is something that here in America, the marketing agencies are masters at. They make all the food look hot and delicious and fresh. So when we're watching a TV program or a sporting event and a commercial comes on, it's about pizza or hamburgers, we're not even hungry because we've got all the stuff in the kitchen, all the hors d'oeuvres and all of the stuff, but we see that and it's like, oh, then they order a pizza and have a pizza delivered to the house. Or they send somebody out to go get hot dogs and hamburgers or whatever the snack food is. It's visually stimulated to eat, rather than you have low blood sugar, which is the natural way your body is stimulated to eat. And then we wonder why we gain weight, because we're eating food when we're not hungry. We're eating food because we're visually stimulated to do so. And here in America too, where we are overfed and undernourished. So if you order a large pizza and it's just you're not going to throw away unused pizza. So what do? You just continue to eat it until it's all gone. And then you just rationalize, well, I'll go to the gym for an extra half hour tomorrow, or I'll walk an extra 4,000 steps. We start bargaining with ourselves to justify the massive unnecessary food we just ate, and we gave up control. Food controls us. We don't control it. And that's what the mind-body system does, is it gives us back control. So we are only stimulated to eat when our body detects low blood sugar. So we're hunger stimulated, not visually stimulated. And here's the other thing I was not expecting. The mind-body system does not take the commercials off the television. It doesn't take the commercials off the radio. It doesn't take the commercials and the advertising and the marketing that we're exposed to. It doesn't take that away. And it doesn't even make our willpower stronger. It just allows us to realize we don't need that. And it's the weirdest thing, Margie. I wish I could tell you that I understood it all the way. I literally don't. All I just know is that I eat clean. My wife, Marcy, and I have been intermittent fasting for probably 6 years. And we eat very nutritiously and very healthy food. But after dinner, probably within an hour, I start feeling some snacking coming on. It's like I want some celery with some peanut butter, or I want some gluten-free crackers and some cheddar cheese or something. So it's still kind of healthy, but it's at the wrong time. And I'll get it just enough to get about 300 to 400 calories. And then I'll go to sleep usually within a half hour to 45 minutes. And if you do that for more than so in a 7-day week, if you do that the majority of the time, you're going to probably put on about 15 to 20 pounds in 6 months and wonder where it came from. It didn't come on overnight. It came on every night with an extra helping of something or the snacks you didn't need. And I don't have those snack cravings anymore. Literally zero. After day 4 of being on the mind body system, I was like, I'm not craving the crackers anymore. I'm not craving the celery and peanut. I'm literally not even craving it. And even though it's in the fridge, I go in there, open the fridge, there's the celery, there's the organic peanut butter, but I'm not pulling it out and making it because I don't have the desire. And that, quite frankly, I understand that. I mean, I didn't have cravings when I was a kid, and I didn't have cravings until I was able until I was able to indulge in them or give them power over me. But I took back power, and the mind body system gave me the ability to do that. And I literally, I was recognizing it. It's getting better. It's getting better. It was like, it was there for the first 3 days. And on day 4, it was no longer there. And I didn't really even understand food noise until I didn't have it anymore. But it's that obsessive thinking. Like I'm sitting there and I might sit in there and rationalize with myself. No, I don't need it. No, I don't need it. But then I think about it again. No, I don't need it. And after about a 20-minute battle, I'll get up and I'll go in the kitchen and I'll make the celery and peanut butter just to shut that voice up in my head. I don't have that voice anymore. That's the food noise. The obsessive thinking about food you just can't get off of. The mind body system takes that away because that's not normal. It's only there when we're eating outside the norm and it becomes a new habit where you can break any habit. And this one helps us break it.
Well, I must say, Dr. Dondee, I'm day 18 and those things have gone. The food noise, I didn't actually know what food noise was. And I'm pleased your kitty's having a wonderful time. He's scratching at your
Yeah.
wall. He wants to get up to that little
Yeah.
post. So this food noise, and you've just touched on it here, but with this system, it actually turns that food noise down. What specifically is that?
So in my case, and in many, many cases, it actually turns it off. And it's just that over time, what happens is if you indulge in snacking and you're eating outside the norm of low blood sugar, getting satisfied with the food that you eat, and it becomes a voluntary thing, or it becomes a habit thing. It's more of a performance habit than it is something where your brain is telling you. But it's also a very difficult habit to break. And so it's just that obsessive thinking about, and usually it's involving a craving. So pregnant women can kind of understand what I'm saying. So for women who've ever been pregnant, if you have like a really strange craving at a strange time, it's usually in the fetal development, you may need something that kind of food contains. And so you have this really strange craving. Well, it's similar, but it's obsessive, and it will come. And unless you give into it, it'll come back. And then it'll go. Unless you give into it, it'll come back. It literally becomes obsessive. And for me, it was about a 20-minute threshold. I could only handle it about 20 minutes before I finally said, fine, I didn't actually say that, but it's like, okay, I'm going to go eat, 2 or 3 stalks of celery with peanut butter. And then the thing is gone. The craving is gone, or the food noise is gone. It's just your brain or your habit, that something you do on a regular basis telling you need something that you literally don't need. And the mind body, and I don't seriously understand the mechanism of I can't tell you what ingredient is responsible for that. And I don't know if our formulators can. We just know that you put these things together in these combinations and it triggers the body's natural production of GLP-1. GLP-1 is literally a master hormone, but it's not part of the typical way we think of hormones. It is related exclusively to nutrition and your nutritional intake, but it runs everything. It's like the control system. And so when GLP-1 increases by 140%, naturally, it just quiets those other things and gives your body back control of where you get your nutrition from. And that's your food that you're eating and how your body, and what is enough. And how does your body know it's needing enough? Because it just turns the signal off and you don't have the signal. You don't have the temptation anymore. I guess that's kind of the best way to talk about it. It's an obsessive thinking or a deep temptation to get food that you don't need, you just want.
That is such a great explanation. I can relate to that because I feel that way now, which I've never done. I've always had this fight going on in my head.
Yeah.
Now, because we've got so many people starting on the product, and I'm sure we've got some prospective customers, may I say, what can customers expect when they start on GLP-1?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, and I wish I could give a simple answer, but let me just kind of explain to you why it's an unpredictable answer, but there's going to be some similarities. So if you have, say, 10 people, let's say you have 10 35-year-old women that are 5'10" and weigh 140 pounds, and they have blue eyes and they're brunette and they're all the same as far as just characteristics. You could start them all on the same product at the same time and have 10 completely different experiences, because it doesn't matter your height or your weight or your sex or your age or where you were born or what preference of food you have or whether you're a vegan or not, or a carnivore or keto or paleo. None of that matters. What matters is when you start, what is your body's hierarchy of need in the whole gut-brain axis food relationship. So, for example, if I had been on antibiotics anytime over the last 5 years, my gut bacteria is not going to be normal. It's probably going to be challenged in some way. My microbiome is not optimal. So my first need in taking this product, the two product system, is maybe to replenish my gut bacteria. So I may not lose any weight. In fact, I may gain weight in the first week or two. I may get gassy. I may get bloated. I may start feeling like crap, literally. And it's because repriming and allowing the GLP-1 hormone to literally take over and reprogram my entire gut-brain axis, for my gut bacteria being less than optimal, it may take time. So my experience I may gain weight. I may get bloated. I may have constipation. I may have gas, but it means this system is working. So what can you expect? Different than what you started. That's the one truism I can tell you. You can expect different. What kind of different? I don't know. Some people, maybe their gut is already okay and they start dropping weight. And some people say, well, I've lost 7 pounds in 7 days. And the other person says, well, I've gained 3 pounds in the same 7 days. Why is it not working for me? And the answer is, it is working for you. Your immediate experience is different than the other person because maybe their gut bacteria was okay. Or maybe their gut bacteria was okay. They just weren't eating good, wholesome food. They were eating fast food all the time, or processed foods, or TV dinners. And they weren't getting the nutritional content out of it. So their macro balance, meaning their fat, carbohydrate, and protein balance, was not optimal. And now they're taking a product that tries to make it optimal, but they're not giving the fuel to make it optimal, and it's not working. Or it's working. It's just, first and foremost, they've got to change their input to get a different output. And other people, maybe everything is great. They've got normal gut bacteria. They're eating great food. They're taking the product the way it's intended to be taken. The capsules first thing in the morning on an empty stomach with just water. Wait at least a half hour to 30 to 45 minutes before taking any calories. They're following that, but maybe they're dehydrated. So they're not getting enough water. And so they're not going to release as much body weight as the people that are hydrated and have normal gut bacteria and are eating whole process or wholesome food. And so what can you expect? You can expect different than what you start. Beyond that, it really depends on what your body's needs are. Are you hydrated? Do you have normal gut bacteria? And if not, maybe you should be thinking about a probiotic and a prebiotic to get it balanced while you're on the product. Are you taking it properly? I remember talking to people that were taking the capsules and the powder at the same time. They didn't read the directions. So assuming taking it properly, well hydrated, good normal gut bacteria, good normal elimination, in the process of regularity, then you can expect to have a wonderful experience, drop fat weight, not muscle weight, lose inches, and lose pounds. That's what you can expect. But if you're not getting that, then something else is your first priority rather than dropping weight or dropping inches. And it's probably to restore some level of communication between the gut-brain axis, which starts at the brainstem, stomach, pancreas, and intestines. If they're all communicating properly, and you're well hydrated, and you have a normal gut bacteria, and you're taking the product properly, and you're eating good, wholesome nutrition, you should lose inches, and you should lose fat weight. If it's, and that's what I'm talking about. That's over 120 days. So 90 to 120 days. Don't do first. And also do not focus on how you're feeling or how you're doing or what the scale says or how your clothes are fitting within the first 3 to 6 weeks. Just focus on it changing, but don't worry about you compared to someone else. Do not compare yourself to somebody else, because if they're losing more than you, the first thought is it's not working for me, and it is working for you. Your body just has a different priority immediately than that person does. So focus on yourself, focus on your goals, focus on staying hydrated, eating good food, taking the product properly, balancing your gut bacteria, and just letting the system reprogram your GLP-1 rather than thinking that your results should be like someone else's results because you saw their Facebook post and they lost 7 pounds in 2 weeks and you haven't lost any weight and you're feeling gassy and bloated and it's not working and you cancel your subscription. Do not do that. Do not do that. Focus on your results and doing all the things for you to make sure that this system works. Because here's another thing, Margie. This product, no matter how good it is, does not overcome poor lifestyle choices or poor nutrition or poor hydration or poor gut flora. It can't. It's not a miracle. It honors your body. Your body's the miracle, but only when you equip it to be so. And when you're equipping it and you're giving the product time, at least 90 days to 120 days optimally, and there you go. And so I'm going to base what I just said on the study results. The first 8 weeks of the study, in everyone that partook in the study, the average weight loss in the first 8 weeks was 9 pounds. And here's something pretty crazy. The remaining 4 weeks of the 12-week study, they lost an additional 16 pounds. So 9 pounds average in the first 8 weeks, 25 pounds average in the remaining 4 for the total of 12 weeks. So 25 pounds average weight loss in 12 weeks. But the first 8 weeks was only 9 pounds. So that's the thing. Focus. What can you expect? You can expect change. You can expect different, but you should also expect to wait it out. Give your body time. Continue looking at how your clothes are fitting. Continue looking at your measurements. Continue looking at your reflection in the mirror, and don't focus so much on the scale because you're losing fat weight. And by mass, fat is a lot bigger than muscle. And muscle is much more dense and you don't lose any muscle. So you're probably losing inches, even though you may not be losing anything on the scale. You may even gain weight. This is crazy for me. I lost 2 inches in my waist, even though I gained 1.2 pounds. People will go, that doesn't even make sense. Well, it makes sense because I'm losing fat, but I'm gaining muscle and I wasn't eliminating. It took me, I probably the first, I'm just going to get a little transparent here. I had normal regularity, 3 bowel movements a day, like clockwork. When I started on the mind-body system, as my body was getting used to that starch and that fiber, it wasn't used to that much fiber. So it probably went 2.5 days, almost 3 days before I had a single bowel movement after taking it. And I was still getting those meals in, but nothing was coming out. So I actually gained weight in the first 3 to 4 days until I had bowel movements and started getting hydrated and allowing everything to work, because we're literally reprogramming the entire system. And so give it time. What you can expect is different. What you can also expect is be patient. Give it at least 90 to 120 days. That's when you're really going to start seeing the uptick of 140% GLP-1 regulation, repriming the entire system and getting the results that you deserve to get.
Dr. Dondee Nettles, that's magic. You've given us so many tips, so many ideas, and so much encouragement to just stick with it and not give up before we've actually reached those goals. Before I close, I just want to mention something. One of your other podcasts, it was your Alexander Graham Bell quote that went, "When one door closes, another opens. But we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one which is opened up." Now, I can really relate to that. Thank you. Because here is an opportunity where we think, oh, I've done that diet, I don't want to do it anymore. Oh, I feel this and the next thing. This is time to put all that behind. Those doors are closed. This is a brand new opportunity for anyone, even if you only want to lose 5 kilos or 10 kilos. This is an opportunity for you to really move forward and make the best of something which, I mean, we know it works, and it's healthy. So
Absolutely.
from me, Dr. Dondee, thank you so much to our listeners who've come on, and consultants and guests. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Can I give you one closing thought?
Please.
I want people to really understand the magnitude that we have in the ability to bless people, because as I was sharing, there's a phenomenon called learned hopelessness, that when people try something and they get to a certain level of satisfaction, but it ends up being less than they expected. So they try something different and their side effects, and they try something again that's different. And they've tried all these things. And most people, at least, and I can't speak for the rest of the world, but I think it's probably pretty close to true. Most people that I know that struggle with weight, they also struggle with self-esteem and how they feel in their own skin. And a lot of them are so frustrated because they just want something to work. And most of the time, a diet, whether it's something where you just restrict your calories, it's going to be a temporary fix to get you to a certain body shape, to fit into a certain thing of clothing. And a lot of people do it because they want to go to a certain event. They're getting married. They're going to be the best man at a wedding, or they're going to be the maid of honor at a wedding, or their reunion, or some kind of thing comes up, and they're getting fit for an event. And then when the event is over, they go back to their lifestyle, they gain the weight back and everything else, or they just want to feel good. And it's right now, this time of year, November, December of every year, people are making New Year's resolutions. And every year, there's always number one and number two are going to be wrapped around money and wrapped around health. And usually it's, I want to make more money, I want to lose weight. Those are number one and two every year. They kind of interchange. Well, here's something. We have the answer to both. And what I know is there's people on their knees praying as we're talking right now for the answers that you and I are talking about. And they won't find out about it unless we get out of our comfort zone and go share with them. And I'll leave it with this. So when I took the oath of office to practice chiropractic, and I put my hand up and I swore to uphold my, what they're called, my Hippocratic oath, is that first, do no harm. And second, and this is the most important, do everything within my power, within my experience, within my knowledge, within my education to do right by my patients. I took that and I took it into my private life too, because I don't think, and this is my own personal belief, if I don't share every single product that we have, then I'm not living up to my oath. And I'm not living up to my moral and my ethical responsibility, because people that I know in my sphere of influence right now are praying for a better financial opportunity. They're praying for better health. And if I don't share our business opportunity with these amazing products with them, or our amazing products to help their higher caliber of life, and they find out from someone else, and then they come to me when they find out I knew about it and I didn't share it with them, that's going to be a very, very uncomfortable conversation. When a dear friend or family looks at me and says, you knew what I was going through, and you've been in that company and you didn't share that with me. I thought we were friends. Or what do you, I'm your cousin. What's wrong with you? I don't ever want to have that. So I share with everyone. And my sharing of information is not attached to whether they receive the information or whether or not they receive the opportunity. What is my responsibility is whether or not I share it. Because like I told you when we started this call today, 74% of the people in my country are overweight, and 36% of them are obese, and all of them are looking for solutions. And most of the solutions that are available to them are substandard and leave them at a greater level of wanting, even though they may have weight loss. And I'm going to share this. I'm going to close with this. An article that just came out on October 30th, so just a week ago. Ozempic and other weight loss drugs linked to 162 US deaths. The drugs causing the death, not to mention the thousands of suicides from people. So when you trick the body or manipulate the body into doing what you think it should do, it will always object. And that objection is a side effect. But when you equip it with what it needs to do what it needs, or what need to do what it does, it will always do it. And all we are doing is equipping the body with the mechanism, restoring the natural pathway in the human body to do what it's designed to do around the relationship with food. So there's no cravings, there's no short-term outcomes. It becomes a lifestyle change. And the financial side of this, when you can bless people with the solutions that with solutions to the problems they're already looking for, and they're willing to pay for it, You get blessed by that. We are the currency in this business of success is changing human lives. And that just happens to come with a paycheck. So when you're changing human lives and you're empowering people to do what God created them to do in business or in health or both, it's a win-win-win situation no matter how you look at it, unless we keep silent and don't say anything. That's on us. And I challenge everybody, if you felt anything about the potential with this, please get loud, share this with them, share this with people, because I guarantee you, someone you know, multiple people you know, are on their knees praying right now for what we just talked about. And you could be the one that changes their life forever. And that's the, I don't want to call it a burden. That is the responsibility with all of us that are informed. Go change the world. And that's how we earn the right to say what we are as the activation company. We're changing the world, and it's measured in human lives changed. That's what we have to do. That's our responsibility, Margie. So thank you for the invitation. I hope you guys got good information out of this. It's been an honor today.
It's been absolutely fantastic, Dr. Dondee. Have a fabulous weekend, and thanks so much for your evening with us today.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Can't wait to see you guys. Bye-bye. God
See you
bless.
soon.
Thank you.